Welcome to the 12th video in this series, making a 2D racer in Unity. In this one, what we're going to do is we're going to put ourselves a countdown timer on the screen and then press a key to actually start the race and have the cars only able to drive once the race has started. So to start this off, let's put ourselves a label on the screen, shall we? Somewhere in the middle of the screen, we have already our canvas here with the debug label. So what we'll do then is we'll right click on here, then we can go to UI canvas and text mesh pro. On the right hand side, instead of new text, I'm going to type go and an exclamation mark. So we've got the idea. And then down here, make it aligned in the center, also vertically center as well. Scrolling up to this, the anchoring should already be, yes, it's all in the middle. That's what we want. Scrolling down, let's click here and get hold of our game font. That's a little bit better, and probably up the size to maybe 72, quite big actually. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Notice it has wrapped there. Now to keep it all centered and everything, what we'll do is we'll actually change the size of this. Let's make it 300 wide, and maybe also let's make it 72 tall as well. Actually, I'm going to make it maybe 96 tall, just to fit everything inside there. That looks, I think, okay, yes, good. So I'll do Control-S to save. So this is going to be our countdown timer. So let's check that we do see this. Let's go to the track actually. I'll double click on the track on the left hand side just to bring us back into the game here. So let's have a look at what we have. So we have our computer car here. Let's make actually another one of these, shall we? If we click on this car, what have we got for skill? We've got medium. Let's double click. Okay, it's not medium. I'm going to put the medium maybe up to about this. And then I have the medium one here. I'll select that one actually and just delete it and get rid of it. I'm going to duplicate that medium one again. I'll call this low, I think. And here we can drop the slider down a little bit like this. Maybe make this a little bit slower as well. So we can make it maybe max speed 3.5, 5 like that. And the min speed can be 1 to 1.5. Maybe it's slightly slower to accelerate. So we'll do 1.5 as well. So I'll do Control-S to save. So that's definitely a lower skilled car. We could also make a high one, couldn't we? So let's get the medium, duplicate, we'll make high as well. So on the right hand side here, I'll slide this up somewhere to around here. I'll keep the speed ranges the same, give it a little bit more acceleration, I think, and maybe a little bit less braking, so it's effectively going to be quite a bit quicker around the track. All right, so we've got 3 different skills on there. Let's select the car. Which one are you? You are, if I go to the core here, Maisie, aren't you? Okay, so we'll put another couple in. So I'll duplicate that one. So we've got car 1. Actually rename this to Maisie. So the second one here then, let's click on here and we'll take Possum for this one. And I'll change the name to Possum. And then we can duplicate again, actually. We'll use another profile. So in this one here, I'll go for Tigger and change the name to Tigger. And then for Tigger, we can grab hold of the profile and we'll make Tigger the low skill, and Possum, we'll grab hold of that one and we'll make this one then the high skill. And what I'd like to do is clear out the debug label as well for which one? Well, leave it for Maisie, shall we? So we'll click on the dot there and just do none and go to Tigger, and click on the dot here and go to none as well. So we've got 3 cars in there. We could even add another one actually for ourselves as well. Let's do that. So I'll select Tigger, duplicate again, and I'll call this one player. On the right hand side, we want to remove the CPU car movement. We don't need that. For the car definition here, we'll take Jabber, and then we can add a component, and here we can type player, and we want the player car movement. And then for the stats here, we can take the player movement stats. So do Control-S to save. Now grab hold of Maisie and zoom in a little bit here, and let's just spread these out a little bit, shall we? So I'll get hold of the movement tool and just drag this around a little bit like this. Drag this one as well and get hold of player and put player here, just so we're spread out a little bit. Cool. Okay, so we've got some cars on the track there and we should have our label in the middle. So if we run the application, what we should see is go in the middle of the screen, just there. And what we should also see is the cars setting off on their own. They are, and also I can set off on my own and drive as well. One of the cars is really bad, isn't it? It's probably a bit too slow and it's crashing. Very good. All right then, so I'll stop that. Let's select the label again on the left-hand side. And then in the default text, I'll change that now to a 3. I just wanted to make sure we had enough space for the go, which we seem to. And then we don't want this showing initially for our race countdown. So what we'll do at the top here is actually disable this so we can't see it. And I'm also going to change this to countdown label. So at the moment it's disabled and we won't be able to see anything, but we'll enable it then from script. So to be able to have a race start, the cars need to not be driving when we first load the game. We'll manage that by using the car state in the car core. So I'm going to go to scripts and car and double click on the car core. And inside here we have our states of driving and bouncing. Let's add another state now called waiting. And we can put this as the default state when the car is first initialized. So we'll set the car state here to be car state waiting. Now, if I remember correctly, the player car movement is gated here. Yep, so we don't do anything if we're not in the driving state. I'm pretty sure actually the CPU car movement has something similar as well. If I can find it anyway, somewhere down here. Yeah, so if we're not driving, then we're not going to do any moving towards the target. So just with this change, we should actually have broken the game. So back inside Unity then, I'm quickly going to run this and just check now that nothing happens, and also I can't drive a car. Yep, and indeed, it's all frozen, sitting still. Excellent, cool. So I'll close that down. And now we'll implement our countdown timer. To do this, what we'll do is we'll add actually a script onto our canvas, which has access to our countdown label, and it can then activate it. So inside these scripts here, I'm going to right click, go to create and folder, and call this one UI. And then inside here, we can right click and go to create, scripting, and we want a mono behavior script here and call that countdown timer. And then let's go to the canvas here, and on the right hand side, add component, and we're looking here for the countdown timer. Then let's double click on the countdown timer. And the first thing we can do is we can serialize a field for our label. I'm just going to go up here because we've already got this inside the CPU car movement. So I'm going to copy that and go to the countdown timer. And on top here, we can serialize and just call this a label. And then we'll need the using TM Pro as well. Before doing anything else, let's go back to the UI here and just drag that reference in because it's very easy to forget. So I'll select the canvas on the right hand side and then drag the countdown label into here. Okay. So the first thing we'll do then is inside the start is we'll check whether we have a label or not. If we don't have a label, then we'll log it to the console so we know, and we'll just completely disable everything. So everything disappears and we know that something's gone wrong. Otherwise, what we want to do is run a coroutine here. So something that runs synchronously to the rest of the program. So it's non-blocking. And effectively, this is just going to count down 3, 2, 1 and go. So we're not going to need the update inside here at all. Instead, what we'll do is we'll start a coroutine and we'll call this run countdown for want of anything better. Now we don't have the method yet, so I'll click here and we can implement this. And when it does this, the signature here is actually slightly incorrect. We want IEnumerator here. Now when I hit enter there, that automatically imported the system collections at the top. So if it didn't for you, then you'll have red squiggles. So if it does, then you can click on it and just click that, and it should then allow you to import system collections at the top here. The first thing we're going to do here is make the label active. So we'll say label game object, set active and true. So now we see it with the 3. Then we'll yield return new wait for seconds and 1F to wait for 1 second. Then after this second, the label text needs to be 2. So we'll say label.text is equal to 2. And again, immediately after that, we want to wait. Then we're going to do the same thing with a 1. And then finally, we'll do the same thing with a go. And we want this one to be quite a bit shorter, really. So we'll do something like maybe 0.3F. So it's really quick. And finally, at the end of all that, we can deactivate this game object as well. So it disappears. So we'll set active and false. So do Control-S to save. So back in the Unity UI, what should happen now when we start the game is we should see this countdown. Now, it's not going to affect the cars or anything like that, but the countdown should run automatically. So let's have a look. And I've got 3, 2, excellent, 1, and go. Cool. Okay, it's a little bit small, isn't it? So I'm going to go to the countdown label. And on the right-hand side, maybe really whack this up to 108, maybe, something like that. Now, one thing I did notice is we don't really have much of an outline on this, actually, do we? So let's just scroll up here. Where are we? Let's go to the fonts, and in here we should have a material. Yeah, let's double-click on the material here. On the right-hand side, we can go to the outline. Let's just up the thickness a little bit here. I'm just going to run that and see how that looks. Hopefully we have a little bit of an outline on there. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better. Good. All right then, so I'll close that down and reselect the countdown label there. What we need to do now is we need to get the cars actually starting the race. To do that, we need to be able to start the race. And we'll use some game input for that. So I'm going to select the input in the hierarchy on the left-hand side and double-click on our game input actions. And we can add ourselves a new action map into here, which I'll call UI countdown. And then the new action here, we can call this start race. And then clicking the drop-down here, the binding that we want here, then I'll press S on my keyboard, so S for Sierra. And then at the top here, save the asset. And that will embed and create that for us. So we can close that down. And what we're going to do now is emit an action when we press that key. And then the countdown timer will listen to and pick up this action and then start the race. So let's double click on our game input script here. And at the top here, we want to implement the new interface. I'm going to go multi-line here, so hopefully you can see this okay, but we should have now, if we go to game input actions, we should have the I countdown actions. Then we can click on here and we can implement the interface there. So the first thing we need is a new action. Now this doesn't need any type or anything. We're just watching for a button, and we'll make this start race pressed. And then we need to set the callbacks for this as well. So we'll do actions dot. And it's the UI countdown, set callbacks, and this. Then finally, down into the onStart race, which has been added for us down the bottom here, we can ask that if the context that we have dot and started, then we'll invoke the start race pressed. Now we need the countdown timer to pick this up. So let's go to the countdowntimer.cs and we'll scroll up here. Now we're listening for some game input in here, so we should check that it does exist. Let's go to the player car movement. Do we already have something doing that? Yes, we do. Let's copy this from here. It's a little bit overly defensive really, because we do have it, but nevertheless, I prefer to do it. So what we'll do then inside, the countdown timer here is again, we'll check whether we actually have some game input. If not, then we'll just disable everything, so we'll know that something's gone wrong. Otherwise, what we can do is we can hook ourselves up to that event. So we'll get hold of our game input dot and our instance, and the start race pressed plus equals, and we'll make ourselves a new function called on start race pressed. Then we can get VS Code to generate that for us, and we'll remove now the starting of the coroutine. One thing we could do in here, whilst we're at it actually, somewhere down here, we're setting the game object here to true, so active to true. We could actually set that immediately to false as well, couldn't we, in here? So we're definitely hiding it in case we were leaving it active inside the IDE for some reason. So we'll put this here as well. Now that we've hooked ourselves up to this, let's make sure we disconnect from it as well. So before we do the actual race pest, we'll do the on disable. Then we can take this and we can do the minus. And again, we should probably do the null check here as well. So I'll scroll up a little bit here. So if it's null, then we'll just simply return. I realize throughout our code, we're sprinkling a lot of these null checks. In a couple of cases, probably we return early without disconnecting something else. But the point is, if this goes wrong, then the game is broken anyway. So it would be something we would need to make sure is working before releasing, for example. So let's go to the onStart rest pressed. It's in here that we want to start our coroutine. So we can type start coroutine, and that's our run countdown. Now it might be when we're holding down the start key that the OS detects multiple presses. It shouldn't with the started, but it might have done. So what we'll do is we'll actually put a boolean here to guard against this a little bit. So scrolling up a little bit here, what we can do is we can go private bool started, and then scrolling down into the onStart rest pressed, we'll say here that if we've already started, then we're simply not going to do anything, so we'll just return. Otherwise, we'll set started is equal to true, and then we can invoke the coroutine. So all being well now, what we should be able to do is tap S on the keyboard and see the countdown. The cars won't start yet, we're coming to that, but we should now see the countdown. So back inside Unity, everything's built, which is a good sign, so I'm going to run this. And the cars are all sitting there, which is also a good sign. So I'm going to hit S on the keyboard. Yay, we get the countdown. Cool. And go. Excellent. I noticed the exclamation mark again with the go was well, it was below the go, wasn't it? Because it wrapped around. So I'm going to grab hold of the countdown label and actually up the width to 400 here. That should be okay. Quickly double check this and run again. Okay, so let's check this time, hopefully. Yes, that's much better. Good. All right. So the last thing we need to do now is signal to the cars that they can change their state and start driving. And to do this, what we'll do is we'll make a static class, which is going to contain some of the actions or events that we're going to need throughout the application, starting with this one, which is the race start. So inside our scripts folder, let's have a look inside here. I'm going to right click on here, do create new folder and call this race, and double click inside here and then right click and we're going to create, and is my computer breaking with the mouse there? No, we're all good. Scripting and empty C# script and call this RaceEvents. Then we can double click on this, and here we want this to be a static class. There's no sort of data or anything like that contained inside here. And we'll start off with a public static event action race start. So when the race starts, this is going to be invoked. So we can also make ourselves a public static void emit race start, and we'll emit it. So let's emit this then from our countdown timer. So we'll go to the countdown timer, and at the end of the run countdown down here, we want to do this actually as soon as we've got the go, don't we? We don't want to wait for the go also to disappear. So we'll grab hold then of our RaceEvents dot and we can emit the race start. We need the cars to be able to listen to this. So let's go to the car core. Do I have it at the top here? Yep, it's here. And scrolling down into here, so we have the awake. We'll do this inside the on enable, I think actually. So we'll do private void on enable. Then we can get hold of our RaceEvents dot race start plus equals, and we'll call this on race start. And then we can also do the same thing with the disable, except we'll disconnect from this. And then finally, we need this method. So we'll generate the method. And inside here, we simply need to change the state to driving. And that now should be everything hooked up. So we already know by pressing S, we start the countdown timer. So that will go through this process. And when it gets down to here, it will emit this action here. That is via this static class here. We don't need the Unity engine, so I'll delete that. And then the car core will pick this up, hopefully. And when it does, it'll change the state to driving. That will then run the change state here. We don't do bouncing or anything like that, so we don't need to worry about that. But what will happen then is the CPU car movement and the player car movement will have the driving state, and they'll then start, hopefully, driving. So back in the Unity IDE then, I've actually just run this to make sure it's working and I don't waste your time with loads of errors. And the good news is it's actually working. So I'm going to run this. And then we can press S to start the race. We get the countdown, and as it hits go, the cars set off in their race. Excellent, cool. And the player one can do the same thing as well, and also crash like that. Incidentally, the player car is actually a better way to test the bouncing, really, isn't it, and the recovery onto the track. Cool, all right then, so I'll close that down. One thing I do notice here on the left-hand side is we still have the bounce effect. We don't really, I wonder how long that has been there. We don't really need it now, do we? So I'm going to select that and just get rid of that and do Control-S to save. And with that done, we've made a really good step. So we're able to start a race and the cars launch off the line. There's one problem though, we're not counting the number of laps they do or anything like that. So in the next video, we're going to turn our attention to checkpoints around the track so we can use those then to actually count the laps and the lap times that the cars do. So thanks very much for watching this one. Comments and questions welcome as always on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.